All right. So my guest today is Shawn Jardine. She has a YouTube channel in the Scottsdale area, and she doesn't work just in Scottsdale. She works in a lot of different niche markets, but she focuses on 55 plus communities, retirement communities, and she's really focused on a niche market. And what I love about what she's done is she's created a YouTube channel based around these niche markets, and she's not doing just one market. She's doing several markets on her YouTube channel, and she's killing it in business by using these strategies. So we're going to go through how she created her niche market, because maybe you don't want to do 55 plus community, but maybe you want to do a different community. How you're doing that, how you're coming up with the content, and all that fun stuff. Shawn, welcome to the channel.
Thank you. It's great to be here. This is going to be fun.
So tell us a little bit about what's going on with your channel and what you're seeing from it.
So I started this channel like many people, 2020, scared out of my wits, standing in front of green screen, blinking. And people started watching these videos, which at that time were the pros and cons of Scottsdale or, neighborhood based, the top 3 gated neighborhoods, excuse me, that kind of thing. And it wasn't very long into posting that I started to analyze the analytics. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. They're not paying attention to who their audience is and what works and what doesn't. And I simply saw the age of the people watching me was 55 to 64. And I thought, this is kind of a thing. I should make some 55 plus community videos. So I started just doing wacky stuff. My parents live in Sun City, and so I put them in the car with me. I had one of those little, I think it's called a view camera that will record inside the car. And I put my goofy parents, my mom in the front seat, they're in their 80s. My dad's in the back, telling me where to turn, doing things. People love that video. It was such a bad thumbnail. Probably, I can't even remember the title. It was just bad, but people loved it. And I thought, okay, so made another 55 plus video and another, and then just quit doing the random, neighborhood videos in Scottsdale. We don't really have much 55 plus here, just because cost is high, and certainly no new construction communities. And so I just figured out who is my audience and what do they want based on what they responded to. And it just took off from there.
Awesome. So all right. So first, what you did is looked at your audience. Now, I think what a lot of agents do is they throw which method you were using first was spaghetti against the wall, right?
Yep.
So let's say like Tom on here is in North Austin, right? And he wants to focus on just a couple of suburbs around him. Okay. So you're creating your Tom, and you're creating a new YouTube channel. What do you think you should start doing from the very offset to really like start growing your channel the right way?
Well, if you're going to do it, I would get a spreadsheet. If you want to do a certain niche, first of all, you should live there. Or be, in the case of me, I'm age appropriate. I'm 62 years old. When I started, I was 58. So the audience will relate to me, and because I'm age appropriate. We've got 22-year-old kids making 55 plus videos, and the audience will watch, but they'll never call them to be their realtor. So if you want to do a certain neighborhood or any niche, really, make sure you're there, age, location wise, so that people can recognize you as the expert in that field. But the first thing I would do would be to get a spreadsheet, write out 100 titles, because you're going to need more than 3 videos. And if you niche too far, pretty soon you've exhausted everything. And then you're, what Gary Vee told us in the past, which really does not work well on YouTube, you're the digital mayor. And you really don't want to do that to get leads in just one neighborhood, because how many coffee shops or dry cleaning places can there be? So you need to niche down, but make sure there's enough to get, a year or 2 worth of content out of that. And then the channel may morph based on your analytics, but that's where I would start.
So if you're getting value out of this already, just drop a one in the comments so I know you're paying attention first, and then make sure we're rolling here. So I think this is the problem I ran into when I started my YouTube channel, is I thought I needed to do silly dad jokes about real estate, and I was creating content more. So I was paying attention to the RETV group, and I was focusing on the content that was more agent focused, right? So you're making silly stuff for realtors and stuff that realtors are liking, because realtors are giving us this good feeling of, I like that, that was good, but it wasn't necessarily for the client, right? So how
Mhm.
do you figure out what content a client is going to want to actually resonate with?
Well, it's some of that is trial and error, and some of it is, I got in the MLS and figured out which neighborhoods were selling the most homes. And my audience is younger, 55-ish. Usually the client that calls me is 55 to 64. They want new construction. So I'm not going to do a video on every little tiny 55 plus community. I want the ones that will have new construction. Plus, it gives me more content. And so I listen to the audience based on what comments. And then when they call me, sometimes people will call me and tell me, could you do a video on such and such? We really want to see that. And so I'll go do a video. That's how I got started down in Tucson. Tucson is almost 3 hours from my house. And I started doing videos because other people weren't really doing it, or if they were, it wasn't, again, they were doing the same thing with not a niche. It was too broad. And so I started doing videos there. And now the bad news is I have to drive down to Tucson all the time to sell houses. So if that's a problem, but I get tired.
That's, it's interesting. If I wanted my channel to grow more and see more business, I would do more North content. So I would talk about Round Rock more. I would talk about Leander more. I would talk about Liberty Hill more. And the reality is, I really don't want to drive across Austin to get to those areas. So I just don't talk about it as much. And so there's other channels that are thriving in those areas because I'm not talking about it because I really don't want to sell that far away. So, and that was what I had run into is like, I didn't necessarily want to, like, these videos, and this is good and good to my question, got me views. They got
Mhm.
me likes and comments and responses. Well, I started having to drive all the way up there and I couldn't do business and create content anymore because I was driving so far. So the question is, what is more important to you when you're creating this content? Is it views? Is it responses? How do you get people to respond is the second question.
For me, it definitely is a formula, but there's only so much content you can create about whatever your niche is. And so, yeah, you may not want to go to that area. The key is to find a good referral partner and how you script that to the person who calls you and says, we can't wait. It's like we're going out with a movie star and we want to look at such and such community. If you don't want to do it, then you have to say, let me explain how we work. I have a great partner. I never say this is my showing partner. In my videos, I talk about my team and I, my team and I, my team and I. And so I have to train them that you guys, I'm an old lady here. I cannot do all the things and continue to give you videos, because that's the other thing. If I don't put up videos, they will reach out to me and say, we need more videos. It's a crazy, weird phenomenon. So I have to explain to them how I work. I'm still involved in your transaction because I don't want to lose that market share to somebody else. If you're good at what you do, you can roll into another market or another area, subdivision, whatever it is that applies to your niche, but you can move into that. You can pivot into that and expand your audience, because people who are outside relocating into your area, they're watching all the videos. I can guarantee you my audience was watching Tucson videos. And so I need to put up my videos so I can retain that market share. It's one call rather than they call some other agent in that city and for that city, and then they call me. I want to be the main person for all of those markets. Then they make one call, and this works in my niche. I don't know, like you're in Austin, maybe people aren't so much like, for me, people are looking at Las Vegas, they're thinking of Florida, South Carolina, they're looking at all the places. And so I'm getting ready to make a pivot to still capture that large audience. And then they make one call, and obviously I can't go to South Carolina to, show a house. I'll have a referral partner there.
Yeah, that's smart. That's really smart. And that's what we talked about when um a while ago, is how you're trying to take over other like, so you took your small niche in Phoenix, right? Right. And this is where I think this might blow some agents' minds here. So I've created this cool niche where I've focused on this one thing, which is 55 plus. I moved it to also include Tucson, but now I can actually go to other markets and find a good referral partner in my organization there. And now I can create content about those markets as well and still get more money back because, 25, 30, 40% referral fee, whatever you end up doing for those people going to those markets. Now you're capitalizing even a wider net on your niche, and you could probably grow that channel to just 55 living, and doesn't even have to be Southwest anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we're in process of that right now. And so when you're thinking of a niche, we have to get out of just the way, I started 34 years ago when we had MLS books. There was no technology. You farmed a neighborhood and put flags in every yard on the 4th of July. We have to throw those ideas out and think on a big scale. Watch some of the big luxury guys. Luxury is their niche. They're doing videos. Ryan Serhant, there's a good example. He's doing videos all over the country and the world, so people know he's the luxury guy because his client base is all over the world. And so they might buy in, Italy, or they might buy in Colorado, who knows? But those guys have the luxury niche, and they're not just doing their city where their office is. They have taken over a niche. And so, maybe you do condominiums or, who knows what, but think of a niche that you could start small, and then if it blows up, you can go bigger.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot because, like, even here in Austin, nobody's talking condos downtown. Nobody's talking
Condos
condos.
it would be a huge niche, but you better live in a condo. I mean, I bought an extra house in a neighborhood that I wanted to advance into on the listing side. So I just bought a house there. It kind of irritated the little, realtor mafia in that community. But that just, I also put a golf cart there that my sister drives with my face on it. So I just like to irritate them a bit. But if you're, whatever your niche is, you better know it, and you better have some credibility. So if you're, for instance, you're not 55, please don't make those videos, because I can tell you, my people, when they get in the car, they say, well, there's that one guy that took his kids to the model home. They were all highly offended by that. Or, yeah, that one kid looks like he just got his braces off. And yeah, Google search revealed that he had been recently playing high school basketball. Now, doesn't mean he shouldn't make videos. If I'm him, at that age, I'd be going hard and heavy on low price first time buyer neighborhoods or condos for first time buyers, because his audience would be his age. So think of that when you're doing your niche. Don't just say, oh, I like I did. Well, I live in Scottsdale and those sales prices are high, so that's what I'll do. That proved to not be fruitful for me. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's not a space I really want to or can play in. I'm really good with people my age who want to spend 550 to 750 on a property.
Yeah, you make a really, really good point there, because we're transitioning into working more luxury, but I live in Dripping Springs. I don't live in Westlake, right? And so for me, it's a little tougher to break into those areas because I'm not necessarily in those areas. And so it's been a little bit of a challenge breaking into those markets. Now we're getting lots of clients in those, but really I should just focus on $5 million properties out in Dripping Springs. Um, hmm. All right. Man, I love that I can see everybody's faces, especially Tom. I love that guy. Okay. And I love when you said you pissed off the realtor mafia. Tom was giving you
Every
a
neighborhood
huge
has
clap.
one, and the 55 plus people are at a whole new level because, you know, they're generally a little older because they're living in that community and they're on coast mode. All they have to do is go to pickleball and make friends, and people call them. And then somebody like me rolls in and says, "Hey, guess what? I'm showing your listings all the time, and now I'm going to market." And then pretty soon, I'll I'll own that market just because I've sold so many houses. Now, the bad news is those listings won't come about until I'm old, and you know, I'll be probably living there selling those houses when I'm 85. I'll have to get a young assistant.
Yeah,
But I'm not going to give up that revenue stream, you know, and so I just think it's fun to do that kind of stuff. I'm kind of naughty that way, but you guys do what you want to do. But you know, maybe you don't live in the $5 million neighborhood yet. Start pretending like you do. You know, learn every single thing. Show, if it's a condo, go show every single property in that condo. Make a book that you can refer to every listing. So when somebody calls you from your videos, you can say, "Oh yeah, unit 1023, I showed that one and it smelled like cats." You know, you can speak really well about everything in your niche, even if you don't live there yet. And then maybe at some point you get crazy like me and you buy a rental property in that building, so you have access to their HOA. You can go to their activities because you're an owner there. It just gives you more credibility.
I love it. Let's talk about your channel here and some of the content, because I know if you want to hear about how to create the right content, drop a 2 in the chat, just so I know that's a question you want me to ask. Um, but let's talk about the content. So you have your channel here. And okay, everybody's hitting it in. Perfect. So 55, so Southwest plus 55 plus. A couple of things I noticed when I look at your channel is you have bright, beautiful thumbnails. You have your face on every thumbnail. And you have pretty good titles, right? So if I was going to give anybody critique on their channel, I would say, hey, or that, you know, Tom is going to be creating a YouTube channel in Round Rock area. Tom, this would be a good one to copy because look, most of these surfaces is either in the middle or to the left or the right. It's in the rule of thirds, right? So if you look at this one, the top one, the best, you see her face off to the third. There's a third in the middle and then a third to the right. And it says the best, and I can see what this is. If you look at this one, affordable, 55, she's got her glasses on, so I know she's probably in that age group, right? She's got a good for sale sign. All of these are nice and clear. So what do you think are some of the dynamics that help you actually create good videos?
Well, good videos. Is that what you said? I
Yeah, good
lost the
videos, a
last
good
one.
channel.
Okay, I look at, you know, I do a lot of research, and that's how I've been trained. And I've been in Christina Smallhorn and Joe Eves' course, Real Estate Video Geeks, and they really hammer home the research. And that prevents that spaghetti against the wall thing that I was doing at the beginning, where I was just randomly doing stuff. So, you know, my method is to go see what other channels, maybe not in my niche, are doing and figure out, okay, obviously you'll see people who have 100 videos and they've got, you know, 1 subscriber, which is their husband, and 6 views on every one, which is their kids. And so I try to write good titles that aren't my new listing at 123 Main Street. You know, I think about what is the viewer looking for based on what are all of YouTube's titles looking like. And that changes over time. Where I started is not where I am because YouTube has changed. And so good titles. And then I use, you can see from this video that you're showing now, It's very high quality photography. So you're gonna have to spend some money. Now, I started with a $20 ring light from Amazon that I still have, that's held together by tape, and an iPhone and a crappy little microphone. Now I branched out. I have a full-time video guy and we do some bigger things, but the quality is better than other people. And so, but still not as good as people who started before me, who, you know, Ken Pozek is off the charts. I'm not going to be him yet, but I'm doing good for me and based on where I started. And so just try to get the best quality that you can afford. And at the beginning, I did my own edits, and you can tell, but I didn't know what I didn't know. And it was good for me to do my own edits because I kind of knew how to set up the video. So I think if you want to do this, you need to really dig in on the logistics of this. You need good equipment or a good video guy. And that might be you just pay for drone shots. But you've got to get your titles, your thumbnails, all of those things need to be good in order for the audience to like you and then want to tune in every week when you post a video.
So a couple of things that you said in here really stuck out to me. Number one, you said start with the bare minimum and just learn and edit yourself. Everybody always asks me this question: should I hire an editor? Who do I hire? And what you just said is exactly what I've told everybody. Your first like 5 or 6 videos, 10 videos, nobody's going to watch those videos. Okay. So just start where and do it cheap and work your way into doing this quality where you have a videographer. Second thing you said is you actually kind of learn the things. And I think this is where a lot of agents fail as well. They don't learn how the composition of a video. They don't learn how to just do quick edits. Because when I shoot content now, and just like I can tell how you're shooting now, I can tell how the video is going to go from the beginning. I teach a class on this. You have a hook at the beginning. You ask a thoughtful question in this video that we couldn't hear, but you ask a question: is it niche or is it niche? I am from a generation that calls it niche. It's niche. If you're from the other generation, I totally understand, or whatever you said. And then you'll see my comment right here says, I'm too cool. Because you said, if you're cool, you say niche, or however you said that. And I wrote, I'm too cool. And you responded to it. So you put an engaging question in there without it being like a super like answer me on a question, right? Or write a comment, right? A lot of agents, and I do that. I have a problem with that where I say, well, what do you think? Well, if I asked a simple question like that, that's going to get more people engaging in the video. So I love
Yeah.
that. And then you
Yeah.
work your way into a videographer. And I know what the question is going to be: how much do you pay for your videographer? So what does that usually look like for you? It's going to be different for everybody, by the way, because wherever you
I
are.
I
Yeah.
pay probably more than other people because this kid started with me and I would be nowhere without him. And so it's $1,000 a week, whether we shoot or not. So about 50K a year. And it's way more, I'm sure, than other people. Maybe not, but he's like a son to me now. And we are in such a good rhythm. Yeah, I could get other people cheaper, but I've bought those cheap drone shots before I started YouTube, just thinking I could use something for a listing, and it's some guy with a brand new drone and it's jerky, the color correction isn't there. And so you have to think about all those pieces. But you can find people on Thumbtack and those kind of sites that will do it. You might want to try 3 or 4 different guys and just say, hey, I'll pay you $150 for the drone shots. You can do everything else with your iPhone. Then you find out if you're a match for that person. It's almost like online dating. You have to go through a few before you find the one that gets you. And it is a process. The more you can do on your own, and I don't recommend buying a drone and getting your Part 107 license. That's a major time suck, and you just don't want to do that. But you can do all of the other things. You know, I started with talking head videos, sitting right in this office, you know, and that's easy, and it's easy to edit. As you get more complex, it's harder to edit, and that's when you have to hire a guy. I did all my edits on WeVideo and taught myself. And if somebody who's 58 years old can figure it out. Anybody can figure it out. What you do is you have your computer open. When you get stuck, you type into YouTube, how to do blah, blah, blah on WeVideo or iMovie or whatever you're doing. And that's how you can learn. And yeah, it took me 8 or 10 hours to edit every video, but it was incredibly hard when I first got the editor. And I went through a few editors, and not their fault, it was mine, because I, even with my experience, couldn't tell them, okay, put this clip here and this clip there. And then I'd end up halfway editing the video before I sent them, the Premiere Pro file. But if you know how to do basic edits, it'll make it easier when you're telling your editor, this is what I want. At 2 minutes and 32 seconds, I want a picture of old people in a painting class, or, people on a hiking trail, whatever your clip is that you need for the stock footage on your B-roll. If you've done it, you can describe what you need, and it'll cut your editing cost and your time down quite a bit.
So a couple of things you said there is you said your age, and I always have so many people who come on here and they go, "Hey, I'm too old to learn how to do this," or I'm, whatever. And I think it's really important that you take whatever your limiting beliefs are and throw them out the window. Do you want business in the future or not?
Yeah.
Because if look, if I can figure it out, everybody goes, "Man, you're so good at this." Honestly, what you just said is exactly how I figured it out. I went to YouTube and I just put in how to edit on iMovie, right? Watched a couple tutorials, how to create engaging videos, watched a couple videos, and then I just went out and started shooting like a dummy, and it was bad quality. But I knew that if I didn't put out a video, I want to see if you've done the math on this. I knew if I didn't put out a video, it wouldn't be getting business in the future. Especially during COVID, everybody was in their houses doing nothing. And I was shooting every single day and editing. Literally, I was working 20 hours a day. I would shoot a video, edit a video, shoot a video, edit a video. And my channel blew up because I was super, super consistent. Have you done the math on how much it costs you now not to do a video?
Oh, man. And you can see by my record there, it's been a few weeks since I put one up because I've had some health issues and I've just been too busy. Um, it, the good videos, and when I say good, might not be a huge view count. I can put something up that'll get 450 views and I'll get 3 calls from that. And then my biggest video, which went kind of sort of viral, and then other people, copied it and went crazy with it. I've got almost 600,000 views. I've never had one call. And so I now create the content based on what kind of leads I need. If I've got, we do a lot of new construction, which takes 12 months, to close. So I need to also scatter lower price stuff into my pipeline. So then I'll do an affordable video that might get 3 or 4 calls. So if I don't post, it's going to cost me probably a deal every week, and it kills your algorithm if you don't post. So sometimes, that saying done is better than good. It just gets something up to keep feeding that algorithm and stay in front of people, but don't make sure, don't do something crappy or outside of your niche. If you do my kind of videos, probably don't go do model home tours. Those are quick and cheap and easy to do, but your audience isn't used to seeing that. So you kind of have to watch out for that. But if you don't post, your phone's not going to ring.
I love that. I love that because a lot of people look at the 600K video, especially in the Tom Ferry organization. I hear all these people, and it drives me so insane from the stage, say, "So how many views did you get on this video?" "Oh, I got 1.4 million views." Amazing. "How much business did you get from that
Yeah.
video?" "Well, it
Yeah.
sounds like a car backing up, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
it will help your channel. So I try to balance. You can see those are my most popular videos across the top. Those all have pretty good views. Now, if you look at I did a crazy thing last year because I thought, well, this will give me a lot of views. We went to the Villages, which is the biggest, craziest, weirdest 55 plus place you've ever seen. And we had really good views and continue to get views. Now I have sold 5 houses off of those 2 videos. So it wasn't a loss, but I really think it hurt the channel because YouTube said, hey, this is a good video. They pumped it out to all the Florida people. Florida's not my niche. And so it did a little bit of harm overall to the channel. And so don't get in that trap that I got into thinking this will be great. I'll go there. It'll bump my channel up. Yeah, it sure did to Florida. Those people aren't buying a house in Arizona. And so that was not the best idea.
Yeah, I like that because I think we need, as quote unquote banger videos. Really, you
Yeah.
just need to be consistent and put out videos that are going to get business, talking about the areas that you're in that actually, if you have some crazy good information, oh, I should probably stop sharing.
Sharing your stuff.
Yeah. You have these videos that do really well, right? But the point of those big videos that do really well is to try to get people into your channel. If those people that watch that
Yeah,
video don't actually resonate with the rest of your channel, it's kind of almost a wasted video. It's great to get all the views, but it doesn't
yeah.
trickle people through. And I would say for me, and looking at your videos, the videos that actually get 800 or 1,000 views, those for me are terrible videos. They did terrible on my channel. But those are the videos that actually get me the most business.
They do. And, as realtors, we are numbers driven and, you want to do better than the other guy and you want to be recognized. I sold 8 million houses this year, or my channel has, 200,000 subscribers. We get wrapped up in those vanity metrics instead of looking at what makes the phone ring. And, I did my first deal on this channel before I was 55 plus. I only had 162 subscribers. And that was a good commission. It was a new build. It took a long time, but hey, I got a deal. I'll never forget how excited I was when I hung up the phone from that buyer and I thought, okay, this works. And I'm a little guy and it works. I still don't have 5,000 subscribers. I probably would have 20,000 if I wasn't dealing with old people who watch on a TV and they don't know how to use their remote to subscribe. And I think we're going to see subscribing maybe go away because it doesn't matter. I never open up YouTube on my TV and look for what I've subscribed to. I consume what the algorithm gives me on the homepage because it knows me. It knows what I want before I want it. And it's pretty close because I find all kinds of good stuff that way. Every now and then I'll go through my subscriptions, but we have to get away from those vanity metrics. We have to look at how many deals can you do and how many checks can you cash. And it may not be some big banger video with 300,000 views. That's just a vanity metric. So get that thinking out of your head. If you're watching other people aspiring to be that,
Yeah.
just do you and the audience will come.
So let's talk about, you said earlier, just create the content that makes the phone ring. I think that was what you said.
Yeah.
What is the content that makes the phone ring?
For me, it's a balance. If I put up an affordable video and I go to Sun City, the phone will ring with people who can only spend a smaller amount, 250 to 350. I love those clients. They're fantastic. And the community that I can sell for them is a great community. So I'll put up those videos. Then I'll put up other community videos that will make the phone ring at a higher sales price. And so for me, it's price driven. For some people, it might be area driven. If you're doing any kind of relocation, you can look in the YouTube analytics and figure out where your audience is, what country, what city, you can get a good handle. It doesn't record everybody. But pretty soon you'll start getting a good idea of, oh, wow, I've got, a ton of people coming from Washington State. Maybe I need to do a video about moving from Washington to Arizona or whatever. You can analyze that and kind of tailor your content to where your audience is. You can get pretty deep into the analytics and get a good idea. And then if the video gets 4 views, the whole thing was crap. Don't take it down, just leave it up and learn from it and do better on the next one. You'll eventually, if you're following any sort of system, whether you have the YouTube, what is Daryl Eve's book? YouTube Formula. I think that's a really good book to just learn, okay, what is the order to this? When I started, again, I was just throwing stuff up. I was in some Facebook groups and kind of doing what people did, but you need some kind of system rather than willy-nilly throwing things up. That's where you get the guy with 1 subscriber and 7 views on 100 videos. You need to analyze when you put something up, did it perform? If so, great, I'll do more of this. If it didn't perform, I better reevaluate my path here.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, I'm going to break this open for questions here. I could keep asking my own questions because I'm fascinated by what you're doing, but we're going to open up to questions. If you've gotten any insights out of this video, just type a yes real quick so Shawn can see that her time was valuably spent here. Perfect.
I have to put on my glasses.
Yes.
Oh,
Perfect.
real quick, I want to tell you guys this about my glasses. I was going to do this on some live streams, but I haven't started live streaming yet. But I did a video about a month ago, and I went on Amazon. I bought a bunch of wacky reader glasses, which everybody my age is wearing glasses. I had these horrendous, big, round glasses. They look like Mr. Magoo. And so in the video, in one scene, I had the glasses on and I said, what do you guys think of these glasses? My kids are going to say I look like Mr. Magoo. Leave me a comment and tell me what you think. I got so much engagement from those goofy glasses, from people who were being so kind, saying, oh, I think they're pretty, to other people saying, I ditch the glasses, or those look terrible, or YouTube doesn't care. They just want engagement. And those crazy glasses were off the charts for getting comments. I also, in my videos, I'm almost always drinking an iced tea because it's hot here and I just love iced tea. And so people know that I like iced tea. Whatever you say in the videos, they'll show up. I had one guy, I must have said at some point, I like Hostess cupcakes, and a viewer came to town and I met with them and he brought me a whole box of Hostess cupcakes, which I consumed upon home arrival. So think of some little things you can do that they'll remember. Oh, that's that lady with the crazy glasses, or that's the lady that likes iced tea. They don't always remember our names, but you need some kind of, it's a shtick, but that's part of your hook, is how can they remember you and be engaged, because they want to see what crazy thing you're going to do today. Now, you don't want to get clownish about it, but man, it sure worked for that video. And so now I've got my glasses here.
I love it.
But these are better glasses.
I love it. Yeah, I think that's and it was the same thing with what you said in that video about niche versus niche, right? Because
Yes.
you were talking about the website and you said niche.com, and I immediately went, it's niche. Like, what is she talking about? And then you went, well, why don't you tell me if it's niche or niche? And I was like, I'm too cool because I say it totally different from you,
Well,
And
it's
so
because you're
I
younger
love
than
that.
me.
And you know what it is? It's so Trey Serrano and I do a video class once a month in Real Academy, and we call it a this or that, right? Because you either like it or you don't. So it's either this or that. And so if you give people this or that's in your video, like, do you like single story homes or 2-story homes? Do you want to pay over 500 or below 500, right? It's a this or that. And so the more you can do that in your videos will drive a ton of engagement. And the more you do it earlier in the video, and then throughout the video will keep people in the video longer, right? So you got to engage. And that's one tip that I always give people for keeping people engaged in the videos. Throughout the video, you just ask questions of this or that. So Kelly says, does she use keyword search for tags, titles, and descriptions?
Um, no, I don't even care. And YouTube really doesn't care about tags anymore. All that SEO stuff is kind of gone. You're still going to put that in your, the back end of YouTube when you're posting the video, but I don't even care about that. And SEO is, you'll see people and they're following some crazy old school thing when their title will be the top 3 things to do in Phoenix. And then they repeat that. That's their hook. Today, we're going to talk about the top 3 things in Phoenix. And when you're thinking about the top 3 things in Phoenix, don't do that. Just get to your hook. The buyer just wants to get into what's number 1. And so the SEO, it's not like a website where they're scanning for those keywords. And so I don't do that. There are title, I'm trying to think of, there's one called, I don't know, content something. I can't remember. Anyway, it's an AI driven title maker. You can subscribe, but I quit the subscription because I figured out I could just go to ChatGPT and say, please create a title based on FOMO, fear of missing out, or fear or curiosity around the following topic. And it'll give you several titles. And then you need to refine it from there. You can tell the people that do the ChatGPT version, but do not do like I did in the beginning, Sun City driving tour, and then whatever that little bar is, Sun City, Arizona homes 55 plus. It doesn't accept that or like that anymore, and neither does the viewer. They're watching stuff other than what we put up. They're watching, 2 kids trying to see if they can swim across the English Channel in one day. So we have to adapt. And that's why your research is important. Look at what other people outside of our industry are doing. That's what viewers want. I don't just consume real estate videos. I'm watching a guy who hikes, or makeup tutorials, or those kids that are traveling. And so that's what the viewer is used to. That's what they want. So come up with your idea. Then you can test it on TubeBuddy to see what the score is. If it's a good score, even if it's a 100 score on TubeBuddy, still might not be the best title. So you really have to focus on the titles and the thumbnails before you even create the video.
Tom does a lot of makeup tutorials on YouTube too. So saw that. You make a really good point. And Kelly, this is a great question because this is something I talk about a lot. There's 3 parts to a video. Okay. There's a title, there's the thumbnail. Okay. And then there's a title, thumbnail, and then the SEO. All 3 of those, and then the content. Okay. But the thing you see when you're scrolling for a topic is the top 3: title, thumbnail. What did I say the third was? And SEO. Okay. Right. So these are the things that are going to drive that video to you, right? You can put the most perfect SEO into a video to put it in front of the person. You can put the most perfect title. If you don't have a really good thumbnail, the other 2 don't matter then, right? So it's all 3 of these components. And so many agents are actually sold these companies that I can create better for you. I can do better for you. And then you're stuck on the things that don't matter. Now, here's the 4th component, is the content itself. You could bang out all 3 of these things, right? Just absolutely beautiful. If you don't have good content, then, and don't get worried when I'm telling you, you don't have good content, don't get worried and think I can't make a video. But if what you're saying in the video doesn't resonate and doesn't keep people watching, then these 3 things really don't matter. Because here's what you don't understand. Even Mr. Beast said this not too long ago. The longer people watch his videos, the more these 3 things matter, right? Because if you put a video out that's 10 minutes long and people are only watching 2 minutes of it, these 3 things got it in front of people and they only watch 2 minutes of it, it's going to stop getting recommended because it's not getting the reach. YouTube wants to create content that keeps people on there. So that's why when Shawn's talking about niche com or niche, I'm typing, not even listening to her, typing a comment, not even listening. And then I'm like, oh, wait, what was she saying? And I have to go back and then keep watching it. Well, YouTube sees people are going back, people are engaging, people are talking, people are watching the video. So these things do matter, but the content still is going to be the most important to all four. What are the questions we got, Tom, Charles, Sherry?
I
Sherry
just
says
want
she
to say a
loves the
couple of
idea
things.
of creating engagement on the glasses, by the way. So go ahead, Tom.
Well, I think if you're watching the video or watching this and you're thinking to yourself, man, that's too much for me, whatever, I'm not good enough. Couple of things. And one thing that I said last week, or 2 weeks ago, which is assume a role. If you're nervous in front of a camera, decide that you're Tom Cruise or Sandra Bullock or whoever, and be that person for the video. And just know this, like I do a lot of writing. And one thing that I write about comes back to a particular verse in the Bible, and it says, sufficient for the day are its own concerns. Don't get ahead of yourself and worry about what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Just get out there and do it. And then just know who your avatar is very specifically. So she's talking about 55. My person that I talk to, and I'm just getting into the video, is Lori, age 45, 2 kids. And so it's very specific who I'm thinking about, but that's not necessarily who I attract. And one last thing, I've won awards in photography, and we keep talking about the thumbnail, and you keep talking about the thirds, and think about it: foreground, midground, background. What that does, think about when you're looking at stuff or you're talking to somebody, you don't just look in one place. What that does is makes the eye, it draws the eye. So if it's all just here, your eye doesn't move around and it's not as attracted. And that's what we're talking about. Foreground, oh, here I am, and then the words, and then here's, whatever off in the background. That's what draws interest.
Love
Too
it,
many
man.
people will you see this, and it's usually people starting out, they'll do their thumbnail and they'll write the title on the thumbnail. You've got a thumbnail with all this busy stuff. I already know what the title is. I don't need to see the top 3 things in any city in the USA. You don't want to put that in. You might want to say 3 things. You don't want any more than like 3 words on your thumbnail. If you can do it with 1 and an arrow, then you're really going to do good. And so you don't want that. Now, talking about getting started, if you want a good laugh, go back to my very first videos. It took me 6 months to put up the first video. One day I had 80 takes. And I was literally in tears. I was so committed to doing this, but I couldn't do it. And I went on one of my Facebook groups and said, you guys, I can't do this. I've done it 80 times. And they said, just keep going. Well, eventually, I put something up, which still, based on where I'm at today, was pretty crappy. But the phone rang. You have to start. So don't think that you have to be perfect in everything. Just start with something. When you start looking at people who are making good money on YouTube, it's not always fancy. Some people are just doing live stream type talking head videos that are very, very low production costs. They're not out in the field. And I know of one person, if you want to look up a channel, look at Jen Sylvester. She's in Massachusetts. She's killing it. It's taken me years to get as many views as she got in 1 month. And she's talking to home sellers. And the woman is amazing. She worked hard at her research. She nailed down her audience. And she's sitting at a desk. Occasionally she'll go outside or something, or at her
What was it
workbench
again?
garage.
So I can type it and pull
It's
it up.
Jen, Jen Sylvester, Sylvester. She's killing it. And I don't think that she's any pro video person. She's a realtor in Massachusetts, but man, she has really done well. And I'm so excited to see her do well. Her phone's ringing off the hook with referrals all over the country for people that want to sell homes. And so you know, there she is. I mean, it's amazing, but look at what she did. Her thumbnails are amazing. Her titles are good. And then her content matches. And she's just incredibly likable. And you can watch that and you think, I really like this lady. And people are calling. And so she's not spending a huge amount of money on what she's doing. She's just done all the right things, so the viewer doesn't care that she doesn't have fancy drone shots. That doesn't even apply to what she's trying to do. So, you know, the key is just get good at what you do and pick a niche, hone in on it.
I love the foreclosure wave video.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
these thumbnails are
ChatGPT gave me
amazing.
the same exact thumbnail. That's funny. All right, what other questions do we got in here? Alicia said, this is great. I've been a top agent over 7 years in my area, and I'm now starting with YouTube. Like I have 2 subscribers. Haha. Haha. I didn't need to add the haha, so you're welcome. So ground zero for me for sure. Amazing. Um, real quick, I'll share with you as well. Yeah. So for everybody that's asked me about the playbacks for this, they usually get posted here on my second YouTube channel. Don't worry, you don't need that link. I have in the comments there, I put the stand store. So what we'll do from this is create a playbook out of this, so you can download all of these for free. There's only like one that's paid, and that's actually my YouTube masterclass video. So that's the only one that's paid on there. And then I have if you go on this link in there. This sets you up for all the emails, just puts you on the email list. But then we also have like the old playbooks, so the link for that, the old YouTubes, and then I do events every week. So what all the upcoming events are. So those 2 links right there, they're in the comment section if you want more of that information. So what are the questions do we have? Megan says, thank you. Kelly says, if we have a channel pulling in buyers, but want to pull in sellers, should we mix in content or do a second channel?
I would do a second channel. Because it confuses the algorithm, and people who are looking for a home in ABC neighborhood, they might have a home to sell, but I think it's a whole separate issue. And I wouldn't even, I'd start one or the other. I wouldn't do two channels is really hard. And so I would just do one channel, pick a lane and stay in it.
Well, another thing, that's a good point. One thing that I think you could do too is if you start your channel and actually create a bucket of content that's all aimed at sellers, then you have 4 buckets of content, right? So you have 3 of your buckets are aimed at buyers and 1 at sellers. You could do that, or just, it depends on what you're doing, right? If you're doing just property tours, that absolutely needs to be just a second channel. One thing that I do, Shawn, is that I do up market update videos for the Austin area. And so sometimes we'll title it like sellers are screwed, right? This is an example. And so in the video at the beginning, I'm like, hey, if you are looking to buy a home, this is something you should pay attention to, because this is the things that the sellers are facing that you can take advantage of as a buyer. And as a seller, these are the things that you're really seeing in the market. So pay attention. So that has kept more buyers watching the video, because what'll happen is I get a lot of, anytime I actually do a video about sellers and what they're facing in our market, I immediately get listing appointments scheduled that day. Like within an hour of that video going out, my phone starts ringing. So I would find a way that works with your channel and what you've set up to work in those videos, but I highly recommend figure out, maybe it's a market update video that if you've done a market update video over and over again, just title it more towards sellers, but it's a market update video, right? And then you're talking about what the sellers are facing versus that. I mean, but Shawn makes a good point too. If you have a seller channel, buyer channel, it can get convoluted.
Or do a live stream, do your regular video every week, and then talk about the seller topic on your live stream. And then, you know, you'll have other topics, but that's just one more bit of content you can be talking about that's not going to mess with the people that want to tune in every week and see neighborhood footage.
Yeah. Ash says, what about shorts? Do you do shorts on your channel?
I should do more. It depends on who you talk to. Some people say shorts are death. Other people say we're posting 3 times a day. I've done them. And the problem is I'm not consistent because I just get busy and I'm in the car with clients. I think they have value if you do them right. And it can't always be just cutting things from Opus Clip or whatever that thing is called that I paid for and don't use. If you can create shorts, I've thought, for instance, of putting my model home tours there and do a model Monday. Every Monday, we post 3 model tours or something. Something to get people to watch that's not just regurgitating what you already posted this week. So I think they have value. If they didn't have value, YouTube would not be pushing them so much.
Right.
So depending on your niche, it could be really good if you're thoughtful and go about it the right way consistently.
I agree. I do shorts on my channel, but like let's say I shoot a 10-minute video and the 10-minute video is about an area. I'll shoot a 35, 40-second video that highlights everything that's in that video and the major points, and take that and as a shorter video. So then, and then attach it. Once you put the short up, you can attach a video to it. That way it's driving people to that. But if you create too much content for shorts that's not related to your channel, then you're confusing the short content with the long form content. And if your question is, should I just do shorts on YouTube? The answer is no. Do not create just a shorts channel. Like, you have to have long form content. That's where you're bringing the value. So
YouTube wants the ad revenue. The shorts really are a loss leader. You know, like when a grocery store marks bread down to 18 cents, they want you to come in and buy, you know, a prime rib roast. And they know if they can get you in the store, they'll keep you there. YouTube shorts are the same thing. That's the loss leader that will get people to discover your long form content. That's where you'll get the phone calls, you'll get more views, which just pushes you in the algorithm. And so I think shorts definitely have a place. And I decided this week I need to really dig in and focus on that more just to grow the channel. It's, you know, I need to clone myself, or I've even thought I'd go so far as to get a husband if he had video skills, but that's how desperate I am for help. And I like my single life, but if a man had those skills, I might be a player in that game. I don't know. We're going to find out.
I like the analogy you used there. It's a loss leader. I like that. I really do think that that's a good way to look at it. You know, it brings people in, and you want to, you know, you bring people in for the short stuff, but you want to sell them a house. So my channel is for people moving to the area. I'm having amazing listing coming up. Post the listing video, yes or no?
Yes, but record that video. Don't just do, you know, here's my walkthrough of 123 Main Street. If you're dealing with people relocating, do the first 2 minutes of that video, or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever, about the neighborhood or the town or whatever the surroundings are. That's what people coming to your channel really want. And then you can add the listing video as the third scene, you know, and it just so happens we've got a great listing in this community. Let's take a look inside. And you can use that for your channel, for your long form. Then use just your footage of the inside of the house for other social media. You could put that on shorts, but you need to tell a story about more than the house, because your audience is used to maybe seeing, you know, the 3 best parks in, you know, this community or whatever. You've got to tell the story about the community to make them want the house. That's part of the selling feature.
Right. Does the name of your channel make a big difference?
No, nobody cares. Half the time people don't even know who I am. They'll just call me. Are you the lady that talks about whatever? Are you the lady that drinks iced tea? Yes, I am. Tell me your name again. None of that matters. I started with one name and I went to another. If I started another channel, I would just make it my name. And it'll be just fine. They're not
Yeah.
typing in, you know, your channel. And I see people that do this, you know, Joe Smith, your Arizona realtor with ABC Realty. Who cares? And then what are you going to do when you're not at ABC Realty? You know, you don't need to put anything about your broker in there,
Yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, but that's a whole nother
Yeah.
discussion that we'll have.
Yeah, I think hers was
off-
more about, was wondering, so she does retirement. So she was wondering if it should be 55 plus communities versus retirement.
I don't think if I was starting over that I would do that. Just make your content and then people put your name on the channel. Or, you know, Jim Smith, New Jersey, whatever you are. And don't put the 55 plus necessarily in your channel name. I don't think that's made a difference for me. But now I've gone down the road with that brand. And so I kind of need to keep it. But if I were starting over, it would just be me, my name.